viewers. Our guest today is Dr. Ratan Sharda, one of the prominent research scholars, academics, media personality, analyst, and also he has done a lot of research on various topics related to South Asia and the world, as well the threats posed by radical Islam and jihad. Ratanji, we wholeheartedly welcome you to this interview.
Thank you, Shwebji. I hope you are safe. I hope you are well.
So you know that since 5th of August, Bangladesh is experiencing a turbulent situation. Today is 13th of December. Tomorrow is our Intellectual Martyrs Day. Until we are seeing the Islamists waving Al Qaeda flags and Islamic State flags, chanting slogans on the streets of this country. And you also know the total size of the Islamists in Bangladesh actually is 11%. And 89% are those like us, as if now we are being held captive, hostage by these 11% who are backed by American deep state, Clinton's, Biden, Soros, Pakistani ISI, and also China. Today, the Honorable Foreign Secretary of India, he has given a statement. And considering the whole scenario, because you are keeping eyes on what is happening in Bangladesh, what actions Indian authorities can take against Yunus regime for releasing US State Department's designated Ansarullah Bangla team's kingpin, Jashimuddin Rahmani, and letting him release a video statement calling for waging jihad inside Bharat.
Mr. Shoaib, actually, I'm not so much worried about their threat of jihad in Bharat. I'm worried that a state which was born on sub-nationalism of Bengali language, Bengali culture, which the West Pakistan could not bear, for which they did not allow Sheikh Mujibur Rahman to become PM, which led to huge violence against women, against children, against the people of Bangladesh, and butchering of people, especially Hindus, women, millions of people and lakhs of women raped and killed. All that through which the sacrifice that Bangladeshi people went through, all that is going in vain. And like you said, 11% or maybe, okay, 15%, maybe 8% immaterial, that small minority is able to aggressively push the Islamist agenda and throw the entire progress of last decades into Bay of Bengal. It's very sad. That's the sad part of this entire episode, because their animosity against India, because the Hindu country is well known, and those extremists who were there in Pakistan, the very people who killed millions of your citizens, are today being befriended by this so-called Nobel Prize winner stand-in-chief, who is nothing but a face, a naqab for the Islamist jihadist elements. Is a sad day for Bangladesh, the sad day for the world, because one of the last bastions of typically a liberal democratic kind of country that was rising has been put back in by the historic clock, and that is the sad part. Bharat can take care of itself, so we needn't worry about Bharat. It is the oppression of minorities that is of huge concern, and more concern is total silence of the world order, total silence of the world powers, the so-called champions of democracy. We know that no independent state is liked by the deep state, is liked by the superpowers. So for that, now there is only one superpower, which is no more a superpower actually, but their military power. So they are still, there is, it is very sad that they failed in that regime in Latin America. They were kept on changing people, destroyed many countries, their economies went down. We know that the entire Middle East was actually destroyed by the same powers who wanted oil and who wanted the puppet regimes. And see what happened to Middle East. Unfortunately, Islamic world has not learned the lessons. Unfortunately, Shia Sunnis not learned the lessons. And this entire theater from Syria, Islamic theater from Syria to Bangladesh is in turmoil. Pakistan itself is in turmoil. Bangladesh has given a new lease of life. Mr. Muhammad Yunus has given a new lease of life to the broken state of Pakistan, corrupt and terrorist state of Pakistan, which is crumbling itself. So the military will become more powerful. They have given a chance to military to revive itself while it is struggling against popular leader like Imran. So this is the scenario where I'm looking at. And for this, only Bangladeshi citizens have to rise. Nobody else from outside can really help except the world global community, which can put pressure. And that is where things need to look at. And I will talk about more once you have more questions.
Yes, you are absolutely right, Ratanji. The Pakistani ISI has always been uh, serving the purpose of concubine of the American deep state and CIA and other elements. And you're correct. You're absolutely right that now they have made Bangladesh their new avenue of making money by exporting terrorism, etc. And Ratanji, you know that during the our Great War of Independence in 1971, where 3,875 heroes from Bharat, they sacrificed their life to free us from the evil clutches of Pakistanis. And Pakistanis, they never termed our war as a war of independence. They said it was a war between Hindus and Muslims. In their eyes, we are Hindus, all Bengalis are Hindus, and only Pakistanis are Muslim. So now, under current scenario in 2024, any Bengali, any Bengali considering Pakistan as their friend or ally are actually committing the blunder because Pakistanis only see them either as Hindus or as their slaves. So I
You're
am
right,
personally.
because yeah, if you look at the history of East Pakistan from 1947, or let us say 1950, when the thing stabilized, to 1971, see the plunder they did, see the exploitation, see the atrocities on Bangladeshis, and they're forgetting so easily. And now they're trying to befriend the very people who destroyed the country's economy. But for Sheikh Hasina brought the order back to Bangladesh, who got the economic development back to Bangladesh, where people were at one time, their GDP was supposed to be higher, per capita GDP was supposed to be higher than or even India. And seculars in India used to tease Indian government about the success of Bangladesh. And we had all the clothes coming from Bangladesh in our stores, and see where we are today. It will not just, and India has never taken a religious line with Bangladesh. It has always seen as a country which needed to be liberated. It was not because they were suppressed, they were oppressed and killed and maimed and looted. That is the reason India helped, because India has always helped its neighbors. So this animosity is only result of Islamist agenda, which does not take anybody who does not agree with the line their thought easily. So that is the reason, and Bangladesh for them is a kind of revenge on Bangladeshis and on India, but they don't understand actually who is going to suffer ultimately. Only Bangladeshis. Who will make money? Pakistan army. And the so-called Nobel laureate will just sit and tune his maybe piano, or maybe his, Nero playing his guitar. And just a face who has totally failed the people in the world fora. When we see so many videos, despite all the censorship and force, what is happening in Bangladesh, it is very worrying. I think the way out is, first, the Bangladeshis themselves need to assert themselves that everybody has to live peacefully. And secondly, I think the international bodies have to be shaken up very, very harshly. UNHRC, which has its own business of trying to put their own, brand of democracy everywhere and trying to pinpoint harassment and persecution of minorities. Why it cannot see this? I have no words why it cannot see it. It's broad as daylight. They have not visited Bangladesh. They have not issued in one statement. And that is what is worrying me, because this blindness to sheer atrocities and sheer persecution of a huge community which is already going down in percentage of population, and they are keeping quiet. So there can be atrocities, there can be genocides on various communities, but not on Bangladeshi Hindus and Buddhists and Christians. And they've also kept quiet, you remember, about Kurds. So any minority, that is the hold of this Islamist lobby, that even these international bodies, supposedly the guardians of human rights, are totally silent. And that is where they have to be waken up. And all these Western countries talking of democracy, talking of persecution of minorities, were they silent? I do not understand. They have to be woken up. They have to be shaken by their shoulders and made to realize what is happening, because today is Bangladeshi Hindus, tomorrow it can be any country, not just Bangladeshi Hindus, any country which does not toe the line of US or toe the line of Western worldview will suffer similar fate, because
Ratanji,
there are many more other countries we have which are minorities, which are, or in native religions, small civilizations which are still surviving. They will be crushed. Do you want a global order where there is no voice for the minorities? Is that the kind of global world that so-called champions of democracy want in the world?
Ratanji, I'd like to mention here that during our War of Independence in 1971, this Muhammad Yunus did not participate in our War of Independence. He was in United States, and also for these decades, he has been mostly receiving grants from various organizations. Zero,
Yes. You
zero,
talked of Soros. He is
yeah,
a friend of all the anti-Bangladeshi people, all the anti-democratic people, all the people who refuse to toe the line of these leftists. So you see his photos with Soros. You see his photos with Clinton and Obama and all those people, hugging them, offering him various prices for what? For what? That I'm asking. That what has it done except the Grameen Bank, which turned out to be hoax or whatever, I don't know. Even if I go by that he did something wonderful like Grameen Bank, but after that, what is a liberal human being supposed to back
and
terrorist people who are goons? Is supposed to be the face of people who are against anybody who ever supported Hasina? Was it a crime in a democracy to vote for a certain party? Was it a crime for those for citizens who like law and order, who like to have some kind of development in their country? Was it a crime? For that will punish the people, very people whom you are supposed to run Grameen Bank and all that?
and also in Grameen Bank, Yunus has cheated. He has pushed the lives of
I
billions
am
of
saying,
women.
Shoaib ji, even if I will say take it at face value, but is Nobel Prize also, Nobel Committee is also sleeping? Nobel Peace Prize he got, Peace Prize. Is that the peace they're looking at? Can't they revoke Nobel Peace Prize?
They
Can't
should.
US, who is hugging him, Mr. Yunus, tell them to look at the people with same eye, whether they're Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, or Christians? So where is
Yes.
the moral right?
And most alarming information is, Satanji, that while Yunus has been making money by selling the stories of poor people, he did nothing for the poor. Now, according to our information, during a television show, a leader of Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, Ishad Ahmed Khan, he publicly admitted that because Yunus has made a law that no ship from Pakistan can be inspected by Bangladesh customs. And Ishad Ahmed Khan of Pakistan Muslim League has publicly admitted that they are sending weapons inside the other consignment. And I have information that now Pakistan does not have sugar to feed their own people, but they are sending 25,000 of sugar to Bangladesh. Why? Because inside the 25,000 sugar consignment, there will be cocaine, there will be narcotics. So Pakistan and Mohammed and those liberal left in the West, they are trying to use Bangladesh as their suitable ground for a narco trade. And they are, once they start doing this, it is not actually a headache for Bharat. It is not actually a headache for any nation in the South Asia. This narcotic will be actually landing, journeying towards the United States, to the European Union nations, to Britain, and also to other countries in the world. So, in brief, I'd like to say, because of this greedy agenda of Yunus, Pakistani ISI, and the Democratic Party and Soros, they are going to now destroy the entire uh, younger generation in the Western countries. What is your opinion about this, Ratanji?
See, first of all, Bangladeshis should realize that the very forces they fought, because they were treated like a colony as a sidekick, and as a colony was which was there only for because they were Muslims and to exploit their agriculture and their produce and keep them poor. And now they are going back to become the client state of same Pakistan, who has nothing but which is a near bankrupt country. They can offer once in a lifetime sugar. They can offer once in a lifetime arms, but ultimately it end up in brown sugar, as you rightly pointed out. And is the world not worried? If they are worried, then why they're quiet? Because US, as we know, has the eye on every square mile of the world, including Bangladesh. Don't they realize what they're doing? They stopped aid to Pakistan because of all these things, narcotic drugs and arms and terrorism. Today, that same Pakistan is creating another demon in Bangladesh through these regimes, not the Bangladeshi people, through this regime. And West can't see it. I'm very sure they can see it. But this small-sighted nature, which you have to realize as Bangladeshis, that the way they destroyed, that's why I gave an example of Middle East. I gave an example of many African countries, Latin America. For the short-sighted approach, they have destroyed the economy and the lives of the people. And they get Nobel Prize for throwing bombs at Iraq and throwing bombs at mythical weapons of mass destruction, and for all those supposedly internecine wars between Shias and Sunnis. And if we can't understand that history and we want that history to be repeated in Bangladesh, I'm very sorry. And I think all the intelligent people and common Bangladeshis have to see that they put force on their own regime. They may rule the country very happily. You can call yourself an Islamist country or Islamic country, but you should not allow this to be used as a launchpad for drug cartels, for mafias, for slave trade kind of thing, where you are only supplying it, you're getting nothing in return, and turning into a peaceful state which is totally protected with the friendly promise of a Bharat. For that to turn into a vigilante state or into a enemy state is not going to benefit Bangladesh at all. How long will you drain your economy by standing up against Indian army, which is a mighty top grade army in the world? And for what reason? India has never invaded Bangladesh once it was liberated. It has never been enemy of Bangladesh. All these years, it's only supported it. And even now under Mr. Modi, all kind of pacts that were done to bring Bangladesh up in economic order, now that will all go down the drain. So is this the kind of history we want? A sad East Pakistan, a bright Bangladesh going back to colony of Pakistan and going back into hellhole of gangsterism, drugs and internecine, religious wars, factional wars. We are not looking at that. I think definitely Bangladesh, we have seen better days after Sheikh Hasina's rule, when you had good economy, you had good industry, despite all the disorder and the dense population. How do you survive a dense population? Have you ever realized the kind of hard work that is required and public order that is required to run such a densely populated country? You can't send people out. You cannot be, there are people going out. How many people? And how will you run the country? How will you run the country with perpetual animosity with a big nation which is always a friend? You're turning him into an enemy. This puppet idea, totally blank, idiotic idea of this animosity with India, with a country which is already bankrupt, morally, ethically, and also financially, run by an army which owns that country, where every region of that country is trying to break away from Pakistan, and Pakistan's implosion is written wide in the history, if not now 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And are you going to get into same way? That is a question that we have to ask and raise the voice in the world community to stop this madness.
Ratanji, the last question I would like to ask that from the 1971 to 2009, Bangladesh was known as an underdeveloped country
See,
because
and Shoaib, one more thing that comes to my mind: the entire Southeast Asia, which is Islamic, but most of it is still moderate Islamic or Buddhist, they need to rise. because this risk of Bangladesh turning a radical jihad exporting country under benign eyes of Pakistan is first of all going to hurt the entire Southeast Asia. So they need to rise and they need to question what is happening with their people in Bangladesh. And then I think from there the protest can rise. From there the concern will rise because this is a stable region. Even Islamic countries are very stable, very whether they're democracy or not, and there is no animosity within communities there. There may be some minor issues there, but overall, Buddhist, Islamic, Hindu population living happily together. If they find radicalism exported very easily by land, via Myanmar, via Thailand, everybody will be in trouble. That entire region should be worried.
Because in the
Europe
Middle
may be
East,
very far off. US may be very far off. For them, this particular sickness may be far off because they don't mind people dying. They don't mind people dying of hunger anywhere in the world as long as their own designs are into place. They want an island. They want an arms base. They can make it. But why destroy a country?
because Middle Eastern countries, Ratanji, for example, UAE, they have abandoned the political Islam. And now Prince Salman bin Mohammed, he, under the name of reform, actually he is working out of political Islam. The
Right.
political Islam is the root cause of all problems and all troubles. What I was trying to mention that from 1971 to 2009, Bangladesh was an underdeveloped country. But from 2009, when Bangladesh strengthened its relationship with China, India, Bangladesh economy started growing. Now, enemies of India in Bangladesh are trying to show the trade imbalance. But what they don't show, our ready-made garments industry, which is our key economic backbone, our raw materials are coming from India. That's
True.
why our trade is imbalanced in one side. But if we are buying, for example, goods from India for $10, but we are selling the same goods to the Western nations for $30. So in that sense, India is actually our raw material supplier,
Adding value. Yeah, adding
adding
value
value and raw material, essential raw material supplier. So those who are
with a
showing this,
very low logistic cost
yes, and
compared to
this is
anything else you might import.
yes, and this is the point that it must be debunked that there is no trade imbalance with India. And as I said, from 2009 till 2024, Bangladesh already became an economic tiger just by maintaining relationship with India, Bharat.
True. True.
So those who want to embrace any other country, including China, including Pakistan, or any other country, what I would like to humbly ask them that you have relations from 1971 to 2009 with China, very wide relation. Why you did not grow up? Why your economy did not grow up? And why after 2009, strengthening relations with China, our economy grew? Because India wants to see a prosperous Bangladesh. India wants to see a wealthy Bangladesh because India has helped in creating this country. It is a kind of the affection. They want to feel
True.
proud that we created
True.
this country and this country is very rich. But for China, China opposed our war of independence. Why China will help us? China will try to use us. So in this situation, Ratanji, what we are seeing here that Hindus are being brutally slaughtered, massacred, they are facing genocide. Hindu monks are put into the jail for no reason at all. And the world is silent, unfortunately, absolutely silent. You are right, this Nobel Peace Prize should have been stripped weeks ago. There is no even international hue and cry in the international media. And I would humbly, with begging your apology, I would like to say, even some Bharatiya media, they are either remaining silent or they are supporting Yunus, publicly
True.
promoting Yunus, who is a Hindu killer. So,
So I'll bring you one point also to people's attention. Pakistan at one time was at a higher GDP per capita GDP than India when their exports in textile was going very well, when there was no fight with India. But unfortunately, that Islamist mindset of Ziaul Haq, who made first some wars than Ziaul Haq made in the Islamist country, that is when the economic downfall began. If you look at the figures, you look at the economy of Pakistan, that is when the downfall began, when people paid more money, more of the revenue towards expenses, the army, towards expenses on animosity with India, trying to create unrest in India. They have gone down. India has not. So is the Bangladesh, Mr. Yunus, so-called economist, is going to follow the path of destruction that Pakistan has itself suffered? Who wants animal borders? India doesn't want. And why does Bangladesh want? Bangladeshis don't want. But this jihadi mindset, as you said, a very small minority trying to create this kind of atmosphere, hoping to disturb India. When Pakistan destroyed itself, trying to disturb India and break India, will Bangladesh succeed? No way, it cannot. So good. I hope they have some mind. I hope international community has some opens up from slumber, and hope we from India can also waken up the international agencies and send them, see to it that minorities are saved and Bangladesh itself is saved.
So, Ratanji, last, I would like to humbly request you your personal opinion that how long our Hindu communities will face such cruelties.
See, that is a question that worries everybody because you are fighting with certain elements who totally believe in exclusivity, who don't believe in peaceful coexistence. And as long as the mindset doesn't change, as long as they want to go back to Stone Age to 7th century and see everybody is living in poverty and just having basic amenities of life in the name of in the name of some religion, I think that is the problem. And Hindus will have to stand for themselves. International community will stand with by Hindus, Buddhists, and Christians. And this animosity does not lead anywhere. The world has faced innumerable wars only on the basis of these exclusivist thoughts, right from first century BC. And from there, if this is what we have learned after millions of people have been killed in various wars, we will never come out of it. We want a destroyed nation where we live on grass and stone and living in the tents and living with bare minimum and scrambling for limited food, fighting with each other on the streets. Do you want the scenario of some of the colonized nations and Latin American nations which saw huge poverty? Even now, you see in Africa, same thing is happening. I hope we don't want to go to that level. I'm very sure Bangladeshis need to know what happens to societies which get into religious bigotry, which get into civil wars with each other. Those countries are there. You can see them in Africa, who have been put into war like toys by the Western colonies who left this country, but did not leave their colonial mindset from those countries. Are we going to, is Bangladesh a peaceful country with a huge civilizational tradition and culture which emanates from Bharat? Will you want to go down the tube like those small African countries or Latin countries? I hope not. And that is where what you need to ponder and what we need to do from India and international community has to arouse people's sentiments, arouse people's thoughts. Because if Hindus start picking up arms and start fighting back, that will be chaos, that will be disaster for the country. And I don't think that is required. Just requires some sanity. That sanity, either Yunus and his gang understand that sanity, or international community hammers the sanity in their head. Ultimately, they have to see to it that their own people are not persecuted. They have suffered enough.
Ratan Sharda, thank you so much for kindly granting your
Thank you.
precious
Thank you
time.
for your fight for Bangladesh. I hope you are safe. You have been very bold. You have been very brave. And I salute you that you are still speaking out in this highly dangerous environment in Bangladesh. And I hope that you will survive this time also, and Bangladesh will come out of it for a better future, for a better present. And I wish Bangladesh is well. I wish them a very good future.
धन्यवाद. नमस्कार.